Good afternoon. This is Tempo Africa TV's Beyond the Headlines program, and I'm your host, Petros Haile. Beyond the Headlines is a Pan-African news and information program designed to serve and promote alternative views. Beyond the Headlines will be conducted in various national and ethnic languages every last Sunday of the month from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Today, our guest is Mohamed Idris, also known as Mujawara. Mohamed Idris is the Executive Director of American Relief Agency for the Horn of Africa. I met Mohamed Idris in 2009 at the Horn of Africa Peace Forum at Humphrey Institute. I don't know if he remembers. But today, we're going to talk about Araha and its activities, and particularly related to COVID-19 coronavirus. Please, Mohamed Idris, introduce yourself, and if you can, at the same time, give us a history of Araha, its achievement, and how it starts, so on and so forth.
Well, thank you, Petros, for having me here in your program. My name is Mohamed Idris, and I am the Executive Director of Araha, the American Relief Agency for the Horn of Africa. Araha is an organization, humanitarian organization that was established 20 years ago. This is actually our 20th anniversary this year. Okay. And it was established by Africans in Minnesota to help their people back home. The area we serve is, the area we serve is include Somalia, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Sudan. And now we started even providing services to Djibouti and to South Sudan.
Oh, okay.
And of course, we serve Eritrean refugees in Sudan and sometimes in Ethiopia, but unable to go to Eritrea, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
So this is where we work. The type of projects we do is a mix of relief and development. So during disaster relief, we provide disaster relief packages, whether it's food assistance, whether it is water, whether it is blankets, whether it is, whatever the program or the disaster is about. But during a stable time, we try to focus on development and how to educate people, how to empower people so that they can start standing on their feet and they can be able to survive the hardship in that region.
Okay.
Araha has its headquarters in Minnesota here in Columbia Heights, and we have been serving the Horn of Africa region for the last 20 years, as I said. And we are established organization. We are 501c, so which means we are tax-exempt organization. And actually, we have been rated also for the last maybe 8 years by the Charity Navigator, which evaluate charities in charities in the U.S. And actually, they gave us 5 stars for almost 5 years, consecutive years, and we are happy with that.
Oh, so they evaluated your performance?
Yes, in terms of accountability, transparency, and we encourage people to go to our website at araha.org. That's araha.org to get more information.
Yeah. While we are in the same subject, do you mind explaining to us the structure of Araha? Is it run by a board of directors?
Yes. So Araha was established by East African American in Minnesota. So our board and our staff actually include, like our board, very diverse, have from Somalia, from Ethiopia, from Eritrea, from Sudan. We have, in addition to other nationalities, but we are, from the beginning, from the get-go, we were diverse, and the reason is to be able to serve our people back home. And when you are from the same region, for you it is not a business. It is helping your people there. And also it gave us some strength, because if we have all those people involved, it means that we speak the languages, we understand the culture, and we are also much better welcomed by the people in the ground.
Okay.
And we understand the challenges, and also have the ability to navigate, because we are from that region originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of language, in terms of
In terms of language. So Araha is governed by a board of directors, and we have, I'm the executive director, and then we have staff in the headquarters here, and in the ground we have about 5 field offices that run the operation in the ground.
On the ground, yeah. Like in the Horn of Africa.
In the Horn
you're
of
talking
Africa,
about.
yes.
Okay.
And they are local,
Yeah.
trained employees who knows what to do.
I know that you travel a lot to the Horn of Africa. In fact, you recently were in Sudan last February.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, I travel every year to the Horn of Africa, and usually, actually, I go to the whole region. I go to Sudan, to Somalia, I go to Mogadishu. I go to Ethiopia. I go to Kenya. So during in 2020, I was in Sudan. I was visiting the Eritrean refugee camps of Shagarab, the Shagarab refugee camps. And this is the largest refugee camp in Sudan for Eritrean refugees. It hosts over 33,000 people. And we go there every year because we have the only 2 high schools in the camp that serve the refugees there. So I was going there to participate in the graduation ceremony. And I was blessed, and I was really honored to attend that, where we were able to graduate about 90 students from the camp, from high school.
From high school?
Yeah.
So there is, when did you start this high school?
So this camp was established in 1985, and until 2011, there was no high school at all. So for almost 28 years, there was no high school in that camp. So once they finish their intermediate school or middle school, that's all what they can. And so there was an Eritrean donor, her name Zabiba Shekhia, very well, a great woman who really thought of her people, and she wanted to help, and she approached us, and she said she want to build a school there. And with her help, with her funding, we were able to establish that school. And we were, and since then, since 2011, we started with high school for girls, because that was missing. There was no even for boys, but it was more harder for the girls to go out of the camp to get education. So we started with the girls, and it's still working. And we added, a couple years ago, we added another school for boys. So now we have 2 schools that we are running. And this is the brightest point in the refugee camp.
Yeah, I notice. I don't know if people are looking at the images right now. Is it one of the schools?
This is this is another school.
Okay.
This is another school, but we have. I think there was a video that about the graduation ceremony. Maybe you guys can show it later, but that's one of the this one, for example. This is the class of 2017. They were graduating, and this is just one of the clip. And if you could see the whole population almost attend that ceremony, because it's their kids, the parents, they are happy, the whole community attend. And we make it also intentionally a place where really the whole community celebrate, because this is education and this is a milestone, and we want them to recognize how important this milestone for their kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Additional question related to this. This is a high school.
Yes.
And do they have an opportunity to go to universities and colleges from here?
It was not there because refugee camps, unfortunately, are designed to lock people in, and it's difficult to go out unless you have a permit and things like that.
Oh, okay.
But that's why almost for the last 30 years, there was no opportunity for them to go out. But in the recent years, since we started this, we said, okay, once we help them to graduate from high school, now for them to be able to go out and to study, to go to universities, we have to find ways for them. And we were happy to get some help from some businesses like the Holy Land Bakery and deli here in Minnesota. He allowed us to have a big box of donations there, and the business themselves, they're really very supportive of the idea, and because of that we are able to sponsor about 30 students from that camp to go to Sudanese university. And that's really, it's a big change, because refugee camps are traps, and unfortunately it's trap, unintended trap. And so when you create an opportunity like this, when those people go to universities, they will be able to have they can start their life after college outside the camp.
Okay.
And you give them more opportunities and more chances to live better.
Okay. I can't help myself, but I keep asking
yeah.
the same topic. Do you duplicate this kind of activities to the other Horn of African countries, or?
We do have other activities there. Like we, as I said, our program between relief and development. So we built schools in Ethiopia. We built schools in Somalia. And we have other programs, like we have water wells. We did over 450 water wells across the region for the last 20 years. We sent containers of medical supplies, books, and also we have a very nice program. We call it the school lunch program, where we provide school lunch for those kids. And last year alone, we sent 3 million meals to Somalia and the other region, including Sudan and Djibouti and Ethiopia.
Oh, this is great. I'm glad you mentioned that. As I read through your book, the information bulletin, you stated your program, Arahas activity, mainly focused on 4 vital components, which are hunger, illiteracy, disease, and poverty. Can you give us examples of your success on the other aspect? Like you just mentioned food, meal.
Yes.
With the help of Holy Land here.
Yes, the Holy Land actually is the scholarship program.
Oh, the scholarship.
Yeah, but the story, for example, one of the successful stories I'm always proud of is that the Shagarab refugee camp that you saw. Actually, one of the students, or one of the girls who graduated from the high school, also graduated. We were able to help her to graduate from a college in education. And after she graduated, she came back and she became a teacher, and she is still teaching in our school, in the refugee camps in Sudan. We have other programs, like we do also self-reliance. This is one of the projects we focus on, to help people generate income for themselves, by themselves. And this way they are not relying on foreign aid. And one of the project we do is we call it donkey cart, or sometimes we give people dairy goats or cows, things that people are familiar with in the region, and at the same time it helps them to stand on their feet. And I remember our program directors, our field directors in Kenya, one time was stopped by one of the beneficiaries who received the donkey cart. The donkey cart is a 2-barrel, connected and laid on a wheels and led by donkey.
Okay, yeah.
It's a cart that help people sell water and generate income for themselves. And we help some families to, through that. And so one of those beneficiaries actually approached our director and say, hey, you may not remember me, but a few years back, I was a receiver of this donkey cart.
Yeah.
And guess what? Today, I have a house and I have a 500 lamb that I own out of that small thing.
Wow.
So that, which tell you that person was ready to be a business man, but he was needing that a little push so that he can build himself.
Oh, that is great. That is great. It's just a little incentive. So you really integrated with the local communities' way of doing things.
Yes.
Culturally appropriate, I guess.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
because you wanna bring something that work for the people. People are familiar with, and it really works. Sometimes people bring solutions from the outside, but it may not work locally.
Yeah.
So always, I think this is one of our strengths, that we are from the region, so we know the challenges, and also we know where's the opportunities within the local market and within the economies there, and so we try to help people there.
Yeah, you're right. Within the limited resources that
Within
you
the
guys
limited
have.
resources, yes.
Yeah, why not
yes.
use a... Oh, this is
Exactly.
great.
Yeah.
And another one, you mentioned the poverty, literacy, hunger, which is the 3. The 4th one is disease.
Yes.
Is there anything that you...
Well, health is a big issue, and of course, right now we are also COVID-19 is a big threat, which we are going to talk about. But we helped in creating medical convoy that go through refugee camps, and try to help people in refugee camps. Having an eye specialist or an eye doctor is like a luxury. Even a normal doctor, a family doctor, is not, it's hard to find. So one time what we did is we brought specialist, eye specialists, and also we brought some doctors, and we brought a lot of medical supplies and medicine, and we just made the medical convoy that go through the whole, it's like about 5 or 6 refugee camps in Sudan, for example. And we were able to treat about 5,000 people, and some of them, they opened their eyes for the first time with a cataract operation, which is very cheap, but those people, unfortunately, they were not able to have. And we have other medical and health intervention. We sent to Somalia containers of medical supplies and medicine that we distributed to many hospitals. Even during the Mogadishu blast last time, and I know that we have many blasts in Mogadishu, but one was the major one where about 600 people killed. We helped the local hospital there who are treating the people who are injured there. So we try to intervene from time to time. But our program also right now is increasing. We are going toward sustainable solutions. So one of the things we are introducing right now, how we can overcome the drought problem. The drought is a regular, a permanent phenomenon almost. Every 2-3 years we are suffering from that. So we are saying how we can treat that in a more sustainable solution. So we are thinking of, right now we are doing actually project like sand dam. We are doing like water catchment, water harvesting in the region. We built almost like 5 schools with a water catchment where you have gutters across the roof there, and the water go through pipes, go to storage where kids and students can benefit from.
Okay.
So we are bringing some innovative solution because some of these problems really is not something that's temporary. It's just going on and on. So you have to think out of the box. You have to think of sustainable solutions.
Okay, great. And it helps that your organization is so diverse. So if people want to go help out in Somalia, there is a representative there.
Yes,
Okay.
and actually our some of our board members even travel and headed some of these projects and relief efforts by them going there and participating.
Okay.
So that is an advantage really we have.
Yeah, in fact, I was able to attend one of your press release 7-8 years ago in the Columbia Heights.
Yes.
Yeah, I see the composition is so diverse. In
Yes.
that sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we're coming back to our main question, our main topic of discussion, which is COVID-19 coronavirus. What are you doing to control the spread of coronavirus or COVID-19 as Araha organization?
As Araha. Well, thank you for that question. Actually, this is the time question right now. And I hope you, your family, your audience are doing well in this difficult time. I think we're all suffering from this. But hopefully it will be temporary and it will pass and it will become a memory. But it's really devastating a lot of people. And you know, as the chief of the medical association in Somalia said, if and I'm just trying to rephrase what he said. He said, if thousands of people are dying in China and in Italy, you know, and United States, what do you imagine when this happened to the Horn of Africa there? Where there is no healthcare system. Mm-hmm. And actually he mentioned that there was one single kit, a testing kit in Somalia. So the whole country has no single kit for testing. They had actually to send to South Africa to get the result. Wow. After 3 days or 4 days. So unfortunately, that is the situation in the Horn of Africa. But fortunately, the number of cases, confirmed cases, is very low. Just before I came to the studio, I printed some of the numbers that just to share with your audience about the numbers of confirmed cases and death in the Horn of Africa. So, for example, if we take Eritrea, confirmed cases is 39. Now, when I'm mentioning these cases, it's very low comparing to what we have been here. And it doesn't mean there is no corona there. It's just mean this was the testing, as it is in the United States. Yep. And because we know the limited capacity of testing there, is actually the fear is that because there is no testing, this number is not jumping up. And the fear is that we are going to be surprised in the coming weeks. So in Eritrea, the confirmed case is 39, death is 0. Ethiopia is about 111. This is up to yesterday. And the death is 3 in Ethiopia due to COVID-19. In Somalia, confirmed cases is about 237. And the death toll was 8 in Somalia. In Kenya, confirmed cases is 281. And the death is 14. In Djibouti, which is the last country that I took this report from, is 846 in Djibouti. This is a tiny country, but the number of cases actually is more than the rest of which it may not mean it's more spread there. It just may mean their capacity actually for testing could be better. That's why we have this number, because the death rate there is 2. This is in Djibouti. So in general, the death toll is small and the confirmed cases is small. But again, this is just because there is no capacity of testing. Mm-hmm. But the people are actually more impacted and their life have been threatened more by the lock-in and by the lockdown and by the restriction of movement that governments took to prevent the spread of the virus. Because, majority of the people are day-to-day income
Survival.
generator and survivor. So if you ask them to be in their home, you are just basically ask them to starve, because there's no other way.
Yeah.
We are blessed here in the U.S. to have the government sending us stimulus check. In the Horn of Africa, forget it.
No stimulus
There is
check.
no stimulus check at all. So those people are suffering the most. And actually, we used to help refugees and the most vulnerable, but now another layer of population was added, and those who were relying on themselves by working, now also they are not able to work, and that's just made it worse.
Wow.
So one of the project that we are doing right now, in addition to raising awareness about the COVID-19, in addition to distributing hygiene product, we are also preparing to distribute food baskets to many families because they are really impacted by this.
Okay. It's interesting that you mentioned the Horn of Africa, different death rates in comparing to Djibouti,
Yeah.
having the smallest number and impacted the greater impact.
Yeah.
Maybe there's about 5-6 foreign powers in Djibouti. I'm just
Yeah.
assuming that probably for their own sake, they better protect the local community.
Yes, yes, and
and
they have better testing in that
Better
because
testing
of that.
Because of that.
I
Okay.
agree. I think that's a good analysis. That could be one of the reasons that these bases that are there could be they have a better testing also. In addition, maybe the government, the local government there are doing also a good job, but it doesn't mean maybe that it's more spread than the rest of
Yeah.
the countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it you're talking about awareness and food distribution, and how about those what they call PPE, personal
Protection, yes, like masks and things like that. We are trying to, although there is a scarcity on that, but this is one of the programs that we are trying to find, but we're really finding difficulties even in finding them to distribute them. Imagine, even in the United States, we are not able to find those
Enough of them,
masks.
yeah.
So you can imagine how the situation in the Horn of Africa, and medical professionals, healthcare professionals, really, they are putting their lives in the front line. Because if we don't give them these protection, they are going to be the victim, and then we will be without, professional healthcare professionals. So taking care of those people in the front line is very important. We are trying to include that in our program, but the scarcity is an issue. Another thing we are doing in the right now, one of the programs that we are trying to implement is raising the awareness through local languages. So maybe somebody, we rent a car and we have a microphone, and somebody with the local language will explain to the people the danger of the COVID-19 and how to prevent themselves from it, and what is the measure that they have to take in the local languages. And that's one of the things that we are one of the program that we have.
Okay. In fact, the Tempo Afrique is also engaged in various language, French, Wolof, different language, Swahili. So the campaign is here too. It may not be as
Nice.
effective as you guys are doing.
No, I think that's the beauty things when Africans
Yeah.
take care of themselves. Then and Tempo Africa, it is
Yeah.
an African station run by Africans.
Yep.
So we have to use all the diversity that we have, the linguistic diversity that we have to educate people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that related to what you were saying is Africa, a lot of experts were feared for Africa. They said they don't have enough equipment, enough protection, so it's going to be a slaughter.
Yes.
But unfortunately, they say that the virus can't stand hot weather.
Yeah.
Is that just a myth, or there's a facts to it?
I really, I'm not expert on this, but from what I heard, that is not true actually.
No, okay.
It is more of a myth. I think it can spread in a hot weather. And so this is one of the things we need to do in Africa, That's how to help people navigate the correct information from the myth and the false information, because it's hurting a lot of people. This is real, and this is hurting a lot of people. So we have to be very careful in conveying the message. And as you said, really the concern, and this is my really concern, the nightmare that we may see, hopefully that God prevented, but if this virus spread there, really there is no healthcare system that can handle even a fraction of what we see in the Western world. And that is the, if you can imagine the catastrophe that could happen. That's why actively and proactively working and trying to prevent this is very important in Africa. And I think we as a diaspora community, we have to raise our voice, and we have to be voice for those people back home.
Okay. So as Araha, I'm sure you probably need a lot of help from the local community to engage on all these activities in the Horn of Africa. Is there a way that Minnesotans are lending their hands to support Araha, or how do you manage to do all this?
Yes, we need a lot of help. Actually, we have a lifesaver campaign called COVID-19 for the Horn of Africa. If you go to Araha website, araha.org, araha.org, you can see that, and you can go online and you can donate. But we have office also in Minnesota. You can call us also at the number 763-270-5351, and maybe you can put it in the you can see it in the
screen,
the program. But really we need people to give us their hand, extend their hand, and so that we can be able to help those people in ground. We are in a good position to help, but we always work through kind-hearted people and people who donate to us. We are the middle person who can bring this good and this ability to help to other people. So we ask people, we urge people, please donate and help us before it is too late. It's very important. It's a timely issue.
Timely issue. Thank you. Let me take you a little different route. So as I came to this place, Human Rights Watch had a report this morning, I guess. The title is Ethiopia, Unaccompanied Eritrean Children at Risk. And to summarize it, there's thousands of Eritreans little children that are not accompanied by their parents. So they came as a refugee to Ethiopia, Sudan, and all over. So when they come to Ethiopia at one time, there was no qualification. The Ethiopian government was accepting those children as they come, and they were giving them emergency, educational, and all kinds of service were provided. Although the services were strained, given a third world status, you know how it is. But now, a year later, the Ethiopian government is changing that policy, and they're not registering what they consider unaccompanied children. That is a risk for those kids. They're not going to get any protection, any assistance from whatever source. Is it a common practice in that area, or is just the Eritrean-Ethiopian relationship is taking a different route?
First of all, I'm hearing it today that they made this decision. It looks like there is a lot of movement going on in Ethiopia and related to the Eritrean refugees. Because right now, also as an organization, we were worried about the relocation of one of the 4 refugee camps, Eritrean refugee camps in the Tigray region. It's called Hetsat. They are deciding, or they decided actually, to relocate that camp, which hosts about 26,000 people, to my Aini camp, another camp there. The reason is I don't know exactly what is the rationale behind the move, but many organizations were worried about the timing, because now it's a COVID-19. When you migrate large number of mass people, that's just increased the risk of those people getting affected.
Okay.
And I think one of the things that great things actually the Ethiopian government did in the past and still and continue to do is the open door policy, which is really a very good policy, and we wish that it continue all the time, which is basically allowing for refugees to go out and work and get permit and can work. This is not done in other area, but in Ethiopia actually they did, which is and I think they have doing it also for the Hidsat camp. They are giving them that option also. So that's what I heard. But for the minors, really, this is very worrying and very concerning, because the population, the minor population among Eritrean refugees in Ethiopia actually is very high, comparing to refugees in Sudan, for example. There is a lot of minors, unaccompanied minors, who cross the border from Eritrea to Ethiopia. And elders also as well. Elders also who cannot even help themselves. They come alone without families. Have been those two segments of the population, the minors and the elders, have been the characteristics of the, in the Ethiopian Eritrean, in the Eritreans who fled to Ethiopia. So, and those, they need special care,
yeah, exactly.
Their families are not there, so they need protection, they need, prevention from malnutrition, they need education. So it's really very concerning when they block the border, and this is, I think, against the UN and the international norms, not to accept refugees, and particularly the most vulnerable one, like the minors.
Yeah, no, exactly like you said, Ethiopia was praised in 2019 January for allowing Eritreans to have a work permit and go to school and whatever, travel. But unfortunately, I know this, I'm not taking you to the politics aspect of it, but the president of Isaias, about 4 months ago, he was complaining that Ethiopia is creating attractive environment for the refugees to cross over. And this happens right after that. So in a way, the relationship that the two governments are having, is it to victimize the victim already, or any other motive? I know we don't have to answer the question.
Yeah, and when the peace agreement happened between Dr. Abiy and Isaias Afwerki, one of the things that happened is that there was, once they opened the gate between the two countries, actually the flood come from Eritrea, which means that people are just waiting for any chance to get out. So that is something everybody knows. And actually, for many years, the number of refugees fleeing, number of Eritreans fleeing Eritrea was almost 5,000 a month, for almost every single month for many years. Now maybe in the recent months declined, either because there is no people that much that able to leave, or young people actually, most of them gone out. So that is not a secret, that the situation in Ethiopia, in Eritrea, is that what is causing the problem. I mean, the UN clearly stated that when they receive those Eritrean refugees crossing the border to Sudan or to Ethiopia, usually the UN asks this question: why you are fleeing? And when they gather all this data from the Eritrean refugees from Sudan and Ethiopia, the top 3 reasons was, this is according to the UN report, the first one was the unlimited military service, the second one was the religious persecution, And the third one was just a broad humanitarian, human right violations.
Yeah.
So this is the cause of the problem. And I know as a nonprofit organization, we don't talk about this, but that is we deal with the symptoms, but the root of the problems always are political. So we always love to see political reforms in our area so that people do not have to cross borders, do not have to suffer. And that's what we hope for.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. I think as a nonprofit relief organization as well, it's strange. You can go to all the Horn of African countries, except Eritrea.
Yes.
By the way, it's not only a relief organization, but any kind of humanitarian or social justice concerned organization, they're not allowed to go there. So sometimes even humanitarian organizations need to speak. That's why United Nations is talking about it.
Yes.
So this is a concern. So, thank you. Well, so before we end our conversation, is there anything that you can say concerning the COVID-19 or any other concern that Araha has?
I think it's just we want people to know that really this is the time to stand and to check on each other, and to especially to check on those the most vulnerable in our local community and also across, overseas. And as an organization that serve the people in the Horn of Africa, this is really the most vulnerable time for them. And we want your help, because organizations like us also rely on contribution, on individual contribution. And this is the time that really people want to stand together so that we can overcome this together. So we appreciate you listening, and also we want you to be in the side of those people who are most vulnerable. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Mohamed Idris, Araha's Executive Director. And this will not be the last one. We'll be calling you again. Thanks again.
I always enjoy having me here, being here. So thank you for inviting me, Petrus.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On that note, we end today's program. We'll meet with another guest next month. Until then, have a nice one. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Afrique TV vous offre plus de 4000 chaînes de télévision. Les chaînes européennes, les chaînes américaines, les chaînes asiatiques, les chaînes africaines. À un prix imbattable. À un prix imbattable. Tenez-vous bien. $185 pour 12 mois, inclus le box. Alors, où est-ce que vous pouvez trouver mieux que ça? Si ce n'est pas sur Tempo Afrique TV. Mesdames, Messieurs, appelez seulement le 612 804 0295 et vous serez servis. vous serez agréablement surpris de voir plus de 4000 chaînes de télévision rouler sur votre écran comme ça et vous choisissez laquelle vous voulez. Alors mesdames, n'hésitez pas. N'hésitez surtout pas et ne faites pas compter. Prenez votre téléphone, prenez le tout de suite et appelez le 612, le 804, le 02 95. Nous sommes là, ici à Tempo TV, pour rendre votre vie simple et agréable. Alors, saisissez l'occasion. Donc, $185 pour toute une année, pour 12 mois, inclus le box. Quoi de mieux que ça?
Après les tirs chez son frère Pacha, qui ont fait 2 morts, j'ai été conduit dans une caserne militaire chez les Belvers, à la garde présidentielle, autour de 2 heures du matin. Après une perquisition de mon domicile,